Welcome to بالأحضان TV. The show is an accent for those without one. As we all know, this is a local election coming very soon, and here where I resigned in Minnetonka, there is an election for mayors, and we have here the sitting mayor. Here in Minnetonka, we have Brad Worsom, and he's been there since 2017, and he's been on city council for quite some time. He looks very happy with himself, looking at his website. The guy is just that Hollywood teeth. But there is someone think that's not enough, and we need a change. And then we have John Kuhl. He think time for change, and I think he's big on environment and diversity, equity. Is that when you talk diversity, you see some Somali people. Okay, we got that. People of color in Minnetonka, the number is very low. I know there is a couple of our street, but you don't see them very often. And but this has been changing. People are moving in, and the city has to be prepared to deal with new faces, new diversity, new culture. You see police in the suburbans mistreating people of color, killing Costello was shot in the suburbia. So it is a concern, and I think John Kuhl alluded to that. So he is going to be our guest today, and we're going to ask him why Minnetonka needs a change.
Love is a burning thing, and it makes a fiery ring. Bound by wild desire, I fell into a ring of fire. I fell into a burning ring of fire. I went down, 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 and the flames went higher. And it burns, 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 the ring of fire, the ring of fire.
John Kuhl is running for the mayor of Minnetonka, try to unseat the sitting mayor, Brad Worsom. John, how are you?
I am great. Great to meet you in person.
Yes, finally.
Yes.
That's the closest we're going to get these days, Zooming, huh?
I think so. I think it's all about the Zoom today, for sure.
Yeah. Well, thank you so much for give us the time. And I know, as a resident of Minnetonka myself, I think that's my chance to rant a little bit and, and take the chance. And it was nothing major going on in Minnetonka. And I know, we have Brad Worsom been there since 2020, as a full mayor, and you think you could do better, and there is other issue that should be addressed. Is that how we should frame your campaign?
Well, I think what Brad's vision for Minnetonka and my vision for Minnetonka are vastly different as far as how the mayor interacts with not only the residents, people that live there, but maybe even more importantly, individuals that work in Minnetonka, or they go to school in Minnetonka, or they own a business in Minnetonka. I believe that we are, as a city, far behind cities around us on how they look at all of the people that interact in their city and really make sure that their mayor, especially their mayor, has engagement, it's very accessible, and is very transparent about what is going on in the city to assure that all of those different groups really understand and can have some input on what's going on.
Well,
Currently, we don't have that.
let's back up a little bit. And
Yeah.
when you talk a little bit about groups coming to Minnetonka, interacting, could you elaborate a little bit? Are you talking
Yeah.
about people coming to do business, to visit, not necessarily residents of Minnetonka? Are we? That's what you're talking about?
Well, yeah, let me give you a perfect example. Okay, so I am on the Hopkins School Board. And as part of being on the Hopkins School Board, which of course includes a lot of Minnetonka residents, and a lot of our schools are located physically in Minnetonka. Okay, so as a school board member, we spend a lot of time having engagement sessions with all different types of groups, especially those groups that are historically underserved. So in our school district, that includes our Somali population, African American population, Eastern Europe population. And as a member, I listen to these phone calls, these Zoom calls that we've been doing over the last couple of years. And I hear a lot of stories of individuals that live in a different city, but drive their children into Hopkins school districts, but schools that are located in Minnetonka on an everyday basis, that have concerns, that have tried to bring those concerns to the mayor or to the city and haven't felt listened to. And these concerns can be from them trying to find housing in Minnetonka because they would like to live in Minnetonka, not just affordable housing, but housing as a whole. We have individuals that have had concerns with police, not always negative interactions, but wanting to have more conversations about what is the strategy or how do you communicate with the overall police chief and or police officers themselves outside of an interaction. And then just generally, how can they make the experience better for them as their high school son or daughter is driving from South Minneapolis to Minnetonka by themselves every day, and sometimes just don't feel welcome when they get gas or drive into the school parking lot. It's those type of things that really got me interested in learning more about the city of Minnetonka politics, which really made me focus in on the mayor, how he has worked in the past, but more importantly, what I could do differently. And that's what myself and this campaign is. Brad is Brad. I'm showing people what I can do, what my vision is, and then people have a choice.
Let's talk a little bit about what does the mayor do and their relationship with the police.
Right. Well, if we're talking about police, I think, right now, the way Minnetonka is set up is we are a city manager council government, meaning that the city manager is probably the most powerful person in the city. And what makes this specific election so important is a new city manager will be hired in January because our current city manager is retiring in September. So right now, the way that the police interact with the mayor is really through the city manager. And the great news overall is that we have a fantastic police chief that really is trying to have more communication with the city, with the BIPOC community, and I believe could use more support, especially from both the mayor and the city council. See, I think it's very hard for police officers right now to be police officers. We've all seen these horrible situations happen right next door to us. And this concern about defund the police or anything like that in Minnetonka, that's not going to happen. The way that our government is set up in Minnetonka, we never have to worry about that. But what I think we do need to focus on is giving more support and having more interaction with the city council / mayor and the police officers themselves, to have more interactions so that us as me as the mayor and the city council folks really hear it directly from police officers, what they need, what they're scared of, and how we can support them. It is interesting in the city of Minnetonka, we have a lot of police officers that would like to live in the city of Minnetonka, but for a lot of reasons, they're not able to. Housing is not easy to find in Minnetonka. It's not inexpensive. And so we have a lot of different challenges when it comes to the key people, our first responders that would love to live in the city, being able to find and afford a place in this city. And I think these conversations can open up, I think, some dialogues that maybe long-term we can start addressing how to find housing for some of those folks, because I think it would be a lot better for all if more of our police officers lived in Minnetonka. Right now, affordable housing, even the way that it's defined, isn't that affordable. Right now, you roughly have to make $60,000 to be able to qualify for affordable housing. Well, there's a lot of individuals that wouldn't be able to make that much, so they would not be able to really be considered for that. So I'm not saying that, oh my gosh, we should have affordable housing all over the city. I think we need to have more of a focused strategy and more open conversations about it so that we are not scaring or concerning people when we use this word affordable housing. Affordable housing, we have to be very mindful of some of the negative connotations that come with that. And right now, I feel from a marketing standpoint, we as a city could maybe do a little bit better on the way that we would maybe advertise this. We have a few videos that have been put out in the past where when affordable housing is mentioned, you see an African-American woman with 3 Black children. And you know,
that makes sense.
yeah, and that's we have to be very careful and realistic on how we are talking about this, making sure that we're not really piling on to the negative connotations that people are so.
Well, having a black woman with 3 kids are not that negative. But I understand every time Minnetonka try to discuss, or the city council discuss affordable housing, there are people up to arm, and the room is full of people. They never been there the whole year, and so
Right.
what motivates these people is like a racism, coded language that you hear it on those meetings, or is driven by my housing values and all that typical tired argument we always have. If the minority moves in, the value of my house, whatever. So how do most people look at having affordable house? The way you explain it is not really a free housing is gonna bring all sort of people. It's still affordable to even a policeman, to
Right.
people who work in Minnetonka.
Yeah, I think all of the different points that you just made, as far as what gets certain people concerned are kind of all of your points that you made into one bucket. Because I think it's very hard for a city that has not had a substantial amount of diversity, both economic and racial. So I think that's where we need to kind of peel the onion a little bit, because quite honestly, there is concern by maybe some that, if we have any type of affordable housing, does that lessen my property value? Does that make crime go up? What does it do to the schools? Does it change or impact my school? There are so many different things that, kind of get layered on top of one another. And in my opinion, I think we just need to add additional communication. I was at a recent board meeting where, similar to how you just explained it, there was a few people in the room that affordable housing came up, and it was like, what? And there was, oh my gosh, are we giving away houses for free? And there was an individual from the city that did a job of trying to explain and justify how they're defining affordable housing right now, where I think that we could do better within the affordable housing conversation, even if we have to stay at a higher entry fee, 60,000 or above. I would like to see more work to be done to see if we can get lower than that. But so many of the individuals that are looking for affordable housing really need larger spaces, 3 bedrooms or more. And that is the big conversation that I think gets missed. Let's be honest. If we are talking about our Somali community, our Eastern Europe community, African-American community, Hispanic community, or our lower income community, so many of them have more than one generation, possibly, living in a home, okay? Or they have a larger family. And so all of those pieces make it very difficult to have two bedrooms. And that is also a stereotype that I'm sure you've heard before. If we have an affordable housing place, well, there's going to be 10 people living in that apartment or in that condo or in that townhome. And one of the ways that we can, solve some of that through conversation is having more larger apartments available, or looking at how we put apartments together so there's more flex living space that can really be adopted and adapted by the individual that is looking for the house. There's a lot of homes, especially in larger cities, that very easily can convert by either pocket doors or other ways a bedroom out of a living room or a dining room. And so this isn't new conversations for the cities around us, but some of it would be new for Minnetonka.
I walk around. When I first moved here 30 years ago, I thought, I moved from downtown Minneapolis, from a condo, small. Now I have a house. I'm the king of the hill here. And now I look around me, this mammoth housing that you see now, they turn down those small houses and they have these huge houses, 20 rooms, 7 bathrooms. Now I feel like I'm a peasant, I want to go and ask them if they want something from the market, I can go and get them for them. So well, this is the trend now.
Exactly. But the great thing about Minnetonka is that we can have both within the same city.
It's a big land.
It's a big city. And, and quite honestly, there are a lot of opportunities for us to be very creative with new housing. I think every resident that has lived here for a few years, they have their preference. Some would like a lot more houses and not as much really big property. And others love the very big property, maybe a half acre or larger for each of those homes. And across each of our different wards, how our city is broken up, there's kind of a different strategy that has been taken. The reality is there's not a lot of open housing right now. You know, if you go to find a house in
Yeah.
Minnetonka right now, it's a new house is probably a house is going to be on the market for maybe 2 days, maybe a week if you know somebody doesn't list it properly. And it's usually somebody's buying it for probably $30 or $40,000 above market price. And that's amazing. That's what we as a city want. But at the same time, I think we also need to be, you know, having more conversations with the city, making sure that we are having harder conversations during the development process to make sure that the individuals that are elected have some say in the process. What I mean by this is if we watch city council meetings right now, so often it appears that almost all of the work has already been done, and all that the city is looking for is a rubber stamp to be put on the vote. And if the city council members ask a lot of questions, sometimes they may be accused of digging into the weeds too much. Okay. My feeling is a little bit the exact opposite. We're very fortunate that we have amazing people that work for our city. But at the same time, we really need to make sure that the directions that the city is going into is always being looked at and measured up to what the new population or the new overall voice of the people is saying. And the only way we know that is if we have city council members and a mayor that are constantly engaging with individuals on a personal basis. Sending out a mailer or a questionnaire, that's great. But the problem is you never know exactly who all is filling that out. My personal opinion is you need to balance that information with the knowledge of your elected officials and balance that more.
When you go to the city meeting, now that there is no diversity there. They all like one family, and just like an old boys club. And I mean, they tend to agree on everything, and they know how to use code words, and they know what they're doing. But let's move to the environment. You are big on the environment. It seems like Minnetonka has, when I have a friend coming from the city, they said this city is a forest, and is made for deers and ducks and this not for humans. So we have a lot of lands and a lot of parks.
The last few years is putting a lot of amenities into those parks. Tennis courts, basketball courts, mountain bike trails, all different types of things. And I think we've done a very good job of asking constantly what people are looking for and listening to especially the voices that like those amenities. Okay. And so we have some of those parks that are very, very busy because so many people have so many activities to do. We only have a few parks that are more of those nature parks that are more of the preserves, that are the perfect park to where maybe we do more of those city events or opportunities for people to be more relaxed and not always being on their phone. It's a tough balance because there's only so many parks that we have right now. And within all of those parks, we have a lot of different battles happening. We have battles with how are we going to cut the grass? Are we going to make it very well mowed, or are we going to make it very natural, which bees and other things like better?
Yes.
How much are we going to really focus on making sure that we have the right trees? Trees is something that we talk a lot about in this city. Roughly 56% of our city has a canopy of tree, which is awesome. The problem is that we're not focusing as much on cleaning up the problem trees that we have. So we have a lot of elm and invasive wild trees that are growing up everywhere that look good when you're in a helicopter and you look down and see this beautiful canopy. But 20 years from now, they're slowly strangling all the really healthy, large red oaks and great trees. And so where I differ with the current administration is, let's not talk about, oh, we have 56% canopy and that's so great. I don't care what the percentage is. How can we do a better job of cleaning it up so our kids are going to have 50% trees that aren't dying or strangling those 100 and 200-year-old trees?
What is your political background and how your vision politically, and you line yourself with the party, or though are this
Right.
a concern of the citizen of Minnetonka?
Yeah, great question. I think first of all, I want to thank Brad for his service. He has worked being part of the city council and mayor for 20 years. And that's an enormous commitment. And so I think there's an enormous amount of respect that is due there. And that is a respect that my campaign has shown and will continue to show all the way through this race. This is a nonpartisan race. And I think each person that runs for these offices, they're going to lean either left or right. I'm not afraid I lean left. I don't lean left so I fall out of the car. But yes, I lean left on special social issues. That's the family that I live in. So of course, those issues are going to be very close to me. I'm very fiscally conservative. I grew up in Iowa to a family that had nothing. And we really had to be conservative on every level when it came to economics. I still live that way today. Now, for me personally, on the mayoral race, it's just myself against Brad. And so it is essentially winner takes all in that situation. And at the end of the day, it's this. A person's either going to like my vision, or they're going to like Brad's vision, or they're not going to like the fact I'm bald and like the fact that Brad has hair.
Much for your time. I know you're busy and you have to go there, and I miss your ice cream event, and that you got my vote if I got that ice cream. So I'm sure
That's
next
all right.
time.
I'm sure there'll be another ice cream opportunity, but it's great meeting you.
Thank
I
you
really
so
do
much.
appreciate the opportunity, and thank you.
Well, good luck, John. John Kuhl running for mayor of Minnetonka, and it's coming early election in September, and of course with other election in November.